Well, this video has been a bit of an interesting one for me. I'm not sure if I wanted to make it or not, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I'm going to try and keep it with no cuts if possible. So let's talk about 2020 and my mental health, and hopefully with this video, I can maybe help some of you guys out who may be struggling to make you realize you're not alone. I wanted to kind of give you my year, how it's been, what's happened, and my struggles personally with mental health, and also just life. And I feel like I could potentially help someone out. On a day like today, you might be alone, or you may have lost a loved one. So I feel like I want to kind of reach out to my audience a little bit. So let's talk about it now. There's a few things that happened this year. Obviously, the main one being the pandemic. Now, I'm going to kind of address this quite relatively quickly. This will be a bit of a rambly video, so if you want to put this on in the background whilst you're doing something, that's not a bad idea. I'm going to try and keep it relatively short, but of course, I am going to ramble a little bit. So, yeah, back to the pandemic, of course. That happened March, pretty much all around the world, lockdown everywhere. I live in Spain, so my situation is different to maybe the UK, for example, which is where most of you people might be watching this from. And yeah, the pandemic was tough. Personally, me, I'm a person that I'm very introverted, so I was quite happy to stay at home. But having said that, my mental health has not been great in the last year, 2 years, because I've been very lonely. I don't have a huge social circle. And, while I've got a lot of people on contacts and friends in the UK, I'm not actually in the country. So, being away from that is difficult. I've got my friends out here, but things happened over the years, and basically I was reduced to a very small circle, and I'm not the most sociable person anyway. So my goal for this year was to kind of expand that, do better, try and go out more, improve with, being more comfortable, being out and about. And also last year, the second half of last year, to some extent, that was also the plan, as my voice cracked there. But yeah, basically, long story short, I have not diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I have anxiety, basically, because whenever I step out of the house, I get very anxious. I get nervous, for no reason. It gets worse when it's like going out and stuff. So um, my goal was to work on that this year, basically, and feel more comfortable, going out the house and going to the gym and stuff like that. And it was going well. January, February was going well. Then lockdown hits in March, and while I was happy to stay at home at first, after a while it starts to kind of drag a little bit, and also the reality sets in. I was 22 at the time. I'm 23 now, and like we've had to kind of give up this year almost. And like these are my prime years of my life in a way, my early 20s, and it definitely got to me on more than one occasion, not being able to do anything. And that's tough to take, and it still is now. I'm 23 now. I'm really praying the vaccine works well. I'm hoping to get it as soon as I possibly can, because I want to, crack on and live life to the fullest. So I really hope next year is the one. But back to the pandemic, it was a tough period, and it was tough for everyone. But having said that, I was able to get through it. Lockdowns, of course, we only had one in Spain, and it was right at the start. Once that got lifted, we had barely any cases. So the summer was pretty decent, actually, the summertime, until then the borders got opened and tourists started to come in. Then things went back to shit again, really. The cases started to go back up, and yeah, we all kind of got restricted again towards the end of the summer. And we've kind of been in and out of cases since then, in terms of, sometimes it's a bit of a dodgy period, you've got to stay at home, and then you kind of go back to normal a little bit. And that's kind of how the year's been. So at the minute, we're in a bit of a sticky phase because of the Christmas period. There's a few cases going around, so I'm staying at home. I've noticed this year, I love going to the gym, especially with a friend. That really helps. But this year's been really tough because of the pandemic. And when I'm not going to the gym after a long period of time, it really affects me. If I'm not doing any kind of exercise, I've noticed it really starts to hurt me. Even though I'm a huge introvert, that's a big problem, and I need exercise. Just going to the gym and just feeling like I've done something. That's really important to me. So that's one thing I've really struggled with this year. Keeping the consistency at the gym, and it's something that those times that I've not been able to go, especially during the first lockdown, that was quite tough. You can work out at home, but I'm a very lazy person, so it's not for me. I keep saying I'm going to do it and I don't get around to it. Simple as that. I procrastinate, I put it off, and I push it to the side. That's what I do. But that aside, let's talk about a few things that have been quite tough for me this year. So Early this year, during the first lockdown, I lost my granddad. It was a tough one for me because I've never lost an immediate, like, super close family member, and that one was a bit of a tricky one. We struggled with that. We was in the middle of lockdown. That was tough enough as it was, and then just hearing it happen, not really being able to see it, was really really tough. And then I will say this: I was fortunate enough, and I consider myself happy that I got to say goodbye, and see him one last time. That was really important for me. Uh, I want to keep it together here. So basically, we was in the middle of the first lockdown, and it still wasn't okay to go out. We'd been in lockdown for about a month at this point, but you were allowed technically by law to go see a loved one if they needed assistance or help. So we was kind of risking it on that excuse. At that point, of course, we'd been indoors for a whole month. No one had any coronavirus because we haven't been out anywhere. So it was more than safe to go out and see him. But it was just, the risk of running into the police or whatever. So we all took a risk in my house, my family. We went to see him, and we all managed to see him one last time. And I'm really thankful that that happened, because I would have had big regret had I not been able to see him one last time. So for me, that was a really big moment for me, and a moment where I learned a lot. I've not, like I said, I've not lost a family member before, so I'm stumbling on my words here because I'm just trying to hold it all together. But basically, yeah, that was a tough period for me, especially in the middle of lockdown. But anyway, fast forward. I did pretty well to get over it. I realized very quickly that I'm the kind of person who can't dwell on things too much. I need to kind of get back to a routine and get back to life, and that helps me kind of move on quite quickly. So yeah, I took a day off, I think, or 2 days off with videos during that period. Not much, again, because I realized getting back to the routine kind of was the best way for me to kind of fix that for me. So that was important. Anyway, that happened, and also things kind of got better over time a little bit, especially once the lockdown ended. We kind of went into the summertime. Things got, restrictions got lifted, and that really helped. Going back to the gym during the summer, even though it was really really hot, just doing exercise, and then seeing friends as well. A few parties and stuff, because the limit of people, I think, was 10 at the time, and there was about 5 deaths a day in the entire country. Like, we were doing pretty well. And then the borders opened around July, August time, and then tourists started to come in, and it kind of went back to crap. So yeah, the summer ended in a bit of a whimper, and F1 came out. I was doing my thing, videos, just trying to kind of focus on, work. And then the most recent thing that really kind of ended this year for me and kind of put it into perspective, and just kind of, I was like, okay, I'm done with this now. It was about 4 weeks ago. My parents divorced and split. So that was a tough one to take as well, because again, I could see it coming, for a few years now, but we was doing all quite well. And then suddenly out of the blue one day, it happened. And knowing that most of the family birthdays are in December and January, knowing all that was coming up, Christmas was coming up as well, it was awkward. Really, really tough to take. And this Christmas has not been a good Christmas, even though we was all together, and the breakup was on good terms. I'd like to say, it's not been the same, and it wasn't nice, especially this time of year. And knowing that things will never go back to how they were anymore, that's also a strange one to take. I'm still kind of coming around to that and accepting that as well, because I don't know, it feels weird. It feels really strange, having one less family member in the house. But I'm also trying to take it as a positive. I do want to move out at some point. So for me, taking up more responsibility is a good thing in the house. But again, I didn't let it get to me too much, in the sense that I just kept on trucking away. Videos managed to keep me kind of focused on what I'm doing, and not let me get too carried away with that stuff. Because if I let my brain, control me and carry me away with these kind of things, it's not going well for me. Again, I said before about the anxiety stuff. I don't think I've never been diagnosed because I'm too scared to go to the doctor, but I'd consider myself to have anxiety, and to some extent, I do have depression as well. This was a tough year for me, and I just try to not let it get to me too much. And also, like I said, the best way for me is to move on. And in many ways, this video is a good thing for me because it's helping me kind of let it all go and speak it out into existence. I think is a good thing. And like I said, I'm hoping to reach out to some of you guys, and hopefully we can all relate and to some extent kind of share our struggle. So feel free to let me know in the comments down below how your year has been. But basically, that is it in a nutshell. Essentially, tough year. Losing a family member, also some more indirect family that I know as well. People that you don't think they're going to go, but they just do. It's really surprising, and again, I've been very fortunate in my life to not have something like that happen too often, but this was the year it all kind of happened, and it was pretty scary. And also a few friends as well who have had issues as well. It's all kind of happened at once, and it's really, really scary, but it reminds you how short life is and how things can happen, in a moment, and you need to just try and live life to the fullest. Like I said, I'm an introvert, and I get a lot of social anxiety when I'm out and about, and just general anxiety. And also, I get depressed when I'm feeling lonely. And I've not had a lot of friends for a long time. In the last couple of years, that has improved, and I've had a lot of bad periods. But this year has helped me put into perspective that I'm still alive. My close family is healthy, and we're all doing well. We've been fortunate in terms of like our job security. Like, we're doing okay. And sometimes you've got to kind of strip it all back and remind yourself of the basics. And I'm just happy that we're in good health, and that's the main thing. And you kind of take that into next year and hope for the best. So I'm really excited for 2021. It's going to take some beating in terms of having a worse year than this one. Losing my granddad, having my parents divorce, weeks before Christmas, and then of course the pandemic. Feeling lonely, not being able to exercise. It was tough because, again, unlike the UK, for example, we weren't allowed to exercise during lockdown. We had to stay at home, so that was tough. But yeah, I've done a good job. I'm actually quite happy I've been able to get through this without bursting into tears or anything. I've actually held it together better than I thought. So yeah, wow, 2020, what a year, eh? But in terms of a few other things, for all the negatives, there has been some positives, and just quickly going over those. YouTube has been massive for me this year. YouTube and Twitch. I made an investment earlier on in the year to buy myself a PC, which was super expensive, but it paid off. And the channel has done so well. I've almost doubled my channel in size this year. I've built up a community on Twitch as well, and I'm excited to carry that forward into next year. I really, really am. If it hadn't been for YouTube and Twitch, I really, really would have struggled this year. I really think I would have had some bad days, getting inside my own head. So I'm thankful for the community that I have, this right here, and my Twitch community. So I want to give you guys a massive shout out. It means a lot to me. All the positive comments on videos, especially in a year like this one, it really helps. And yeah. I'm kind of thinking about all the stuff I've spoken about now, and it gets tough, but I'm going to just try and move on. I don't want to get too involved with it. Again, for me, moving on is the most important thing. But yeah, it's been a tough year, but we go again. 2021, the vaccines are here. I'm really excited. I just want to, once I know myself and all my immediate family have all got the vaccine, I can relax. I can do life as pretty much normal, and here's to hopefully the nightclubs reopening in 2021, and we can get a few parties going and stuff, because at this stage I really, really miss it. And just having a good time, no curfews, none of that rubbish, just being out until 5 a.m, just being absolutely drunk as a skunk. That's what I want to do next year. So I really, really hope things improve for the better. But either way, I've gone long enough. I don't want to go too much longer. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I might do a second video later or something, maybe speaking about YouTube stuff in more detail. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you related to this video to some level. We've all gone through struggles this year, and I was debating whether to make this video or not, but yeah, I'm glad I did, because just getting off my chest helps, and speaking it into existence, I think, is a good thing. So, yeah, hopefully everyone has a happy new year. It's already 2021 in places like Australia, I believe in New Zealand when this video goes out. So, shout out you guys. But yeah, take care, guys. Stay safe, and hopefully 2021 is an even better year for all of us.